again, race fans. Welcome to VirtualRacing.Network. You're watching live, hopefully over on our YouTube channel, getting ready for another sizzling edition of the Prime Meridian Racing League. It's round 7 of season 1 here at Mid-Ohio, back to the road courses after a quick trip over to the Pocono Oval. Now coming back to the legendary Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It's Wednesday, August 11th, and so happy to have you joining us here for 64 laps of action as we get set here on the 2.25-mile circuit. A couple of keynotes up there on the screen, and of course, this track having seen so much action over the years from IndyCar, it's just like a Hall of Fame reading through the list of the drivers that have won, including Bobby Rahal and Andretti's and Helio Castroneves, Newgarden, anybody really that has made a name for themselves in the IndyCar world has won here before. And so whose turn will it be in the Prime Meridian Racing League? Last week, of course, we saw Taylor Mills squeak through with a last lap pass for the win. And with that finish and her great contribution, Taylor Mills putting TM Racing back on top here in the Prime Meridian Racing League. So the cars are now on track, getting ready to qualify. Actually, some of the drivers already having put up times on the board, and the time that you see there from Eric O'Connor, we thought we might see this. We are live qualifying here, and Eric O'Connor as well as Andreas Eick and also our new points leader, Alex Salmon, are now under, I believe also David Saranzo, already under the 2021 world record qualifying lap for the official iRacing world record. So we already have what would be a new qualifying lap as Eric O'Connor continues to set a lower and lower time out there. And so we watch the cars that are on track now and take a look at Andreas Eick. Currently was just a moment ago the fastest car on track, but very quickly O'Connor coming out and setting a time almost a half a second faster than Eick and the rest of the field, as we see a couple of cars spinning off, having difficulty with their laps. So we'll take a look at the moment while the cars are out there qualifying before they get to their very final qualifying laps. We will take a look at the current points, and it is quite interesting as Alex Salmon has now taken over the points lead of the series. So Salmon taking over and Philip Lee sliding into second place, as well as David Saranzo. Will Lyon, not having competed last week, will move back into fourth place. Andreas Eick kind of hanging tight there in fifth. A number of other drivers moving up and down that order. And of course, Taylor Mills earning quite a lot of points actually last week. And but that's not good enough to get up into the top of the points, unfortunately. Gaining 11 spots from last week, but gonna have to show up to a lot more of these races and get up there into the top of the finishing order for Taylor to be able to climb up into the championship hunt. So that being said, we'll now take a look at the current team standings. Nothing has changed in the top three. Still Eric O'Connor on track. It's still Eric O'Connor, Andreas Eick, and Alex Salmon, all 1, 2, 3 so far. But the team standings have changed, as I mentioned, with Taylor Mills' sensational victory last week. She put TM Racing back up on top, obviously named after Taylor Mills. And SMS Racing now demoted a spot into second. So that battle still very tight on track, and we'll wait to see how this one continues today at Mid-Ohio. Many of the drivers from both these teams are here today, so looking forward to a good competition. A couple of other teams jockeying for position back in the field there. So we go back on screen and take a look at Eric O'Connor, who is currently your pole sitter. Just ride around a lap with Eric. So we come through the first corner, the driver ahead just shearing off some cones there. Get the ticker back on the screen there, the tower, so you can see where everybody is qualifying, your favorite drivers, etc. Of course, I don't know that I said it at the top of the broadcast. My name is Trevor Greenfield, and of course, so glad to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's our pleasure to be covering the Prime Meridian Racing League all season long. Eric continues his qualifying here. 105.52, fastest lap set by Eric thus far. And we look for Eric to probably not be able to put in necessarily a faster lap. That was a sensational lap. Last time by Eric was a 1:10.64. Not many drivers dramatically improving their times. We did see Sam Blackwood actually managing to get up into the first spot. So as we head here into the carousel, legendary corner here on this circuit, back onto the start-finish straight. Eric's going to head into turn one. Hard left-hander, very difficult to get that exact groove perfectly set. Very important to get that exit perfectly right as we head up into the keyhole. Very quick right-hander. It's horseshoe-shaped, as you would imagine. Heading down this long straightaway. Again, that corner is just really, really tough. One of the toughest on the circuit to get exactly right with braking and acceleration. You'll see many drivers getting that wrong today. This corner here, great corner to pass into off of that long straightaway. Now we're going to head in through the S's here. So head to the right, the left, another quick right. Now this Thunder Valley, very tricky to get the car to set just right on entry. And the drivers that do there as well as this corner, as we get into the carousel again, it's a tricky rhythm. It's difficult to get it to set exactly where you want it to be in the groove, but if you do, you'll be rewarded with a very fast lap. Also, if you do get it to hook up on track on the correct racing line, because it's that groove and it makes the car work that much less, you'll be that much better on the tires over the course of the race. But we're not ready to race yet. We still have 16 minutes to go here in qualifying for the PMRL Round 7 at Mid-Ohio. Take a look at some of the other drivers currently qualifying. We've got Alex Salmon, currently your points leader, and it's pretty amazing considering the ups and downs that Salmon has been through this season. But by managing to come back and squeak out a decent finish last week, able to reclaim those points. And then little ways down the order. Now, by the way, I should mention Alex Salmon that last time by a 1:05.87. So now moving up into second place. Take a look back at Alex. Alex looks like they're on a cool down at the moment. Maybe waiting to do another lap. But thus far, no other drivers except for Andreas Eick. This last lap, actually, now having just completed that lap, did do a 1:05.90. So lowering the time down into the 1:05s. We are substantially under the 2021 qualifying world record. And partly that is due to the fact, we'll get this up on the screen as well, it's 73 degrees on the track. That's because it's 8:19 in the morning. The virtual time in the sim is 8:20 in the morning, so it is definitely cool on track. It will be getting warmer as the session goes on, and that's one of the reasons why the drivers are taking advantage of those early laps. It's just to save those couple of degrees out there on the track. From my standpoint, does make it a little bit more difficult. And also, by the way, a 9-mile, 8-mile-an-hour crosswind. So that will affect the cars a little bit, not too much because it's not too high of speed here at the track. But Andreas Eick there in third. And that last time by lead with that 105.90. So we watch Ike about to try to put in another qualifying lap here, another flyer. We'll take a look at some of the other cars. Here's David Soranzo racing for NSH Racing. Soranzo's had great finishes all season that we've been so let's rephrase that. During the broadcast that we've been broadcasting, has had good races, and they're, of course, with commentator's curse, spinning around as we begin to focus on David. But David does it. That's the beauty of qualifying in the PMRL. It's not just one lap like the official series are. You can take multiple laps and get it exactly, hopefully, the way that you want it to. Put down your best lap. Here's Will Lyon, who missed Pocono but is back. And it's interesting because I really thought Pocono would be a track that Will might excel at. There's something going around with everybody chatting just as soon as VirtualRacing.Network gets the coverage on the driver. Let's have them spin. Nope. Will just trying some stuff to get it to go a bit faster. 106.20 last time by, and Will's fastest lap there. Of course, we've already had Will on to do an interview because Will won a race here in the PMRL earlier this season. So definitely looking at another potential victory here today if Will can find the speed in the race. Currently, as I mentioned, qualified fifth. Here's Julian Altena. See if we can get some lap times up there. In fact, maybe we can just show the current sector times. So Altena currently qualified sixth. It's looking pretty good, I would say. We'll just take one moment here. Try to make sure that everything is functioning as we would like it to here in Broadcast Central. And we come back to the live picture, and magically Julian's livery looks better. Some other cars are refreshing their livery at the moment. Gotta love this. This was a late entry that yep, sometimes it wants to refresh properly, sometimes it doesn't. But doesn't it look beautiful on the screen? The Velocity Online Racing livery for Julian Altena. And hopefully everybody's livery will be showing correctly for this race. As always, if it's not working right and you're one of the competitors here, please contact us over in the Discord, and we'll be happy to help you out in the Broadcast Liveries forum over there in the PMRL Discord. But back out on track, Mark Johnston, SM Galaxy Racing Machine, pink and black right now in 7th place. Mark had some kind words for us on the Discord, and I do appreciate compliments anytime anybody wants to throw it our way. So thank you so much, Mark, for liking the broadcasts and enjoying our broadcasts here. We'll make sure that keep trying to do better and better as we go forward. And there's Eric O'Connor's livery. I thought he wasn't just racing for Fanatec. Here you go, full custom livery for Eric O'Connor, your pole sitter. In the number 74 there, beautiful custom livery done by the team. So the American currently sitting at the top of the board, a 105.53. Last time by a 105.70, not able to quite go faster there. Alex Salmon, meantime, in second, in first in the points in the championship, but second on the track at the moment. Just 9 minutes to go as these drivers trying to fire in that last lap. those last few laps and steal another quick lap. See if they can improve by a position or two. Qualifying really would mean a lot here. This is one of those tracks where having that extra amount of... There we see Andreas Eick with a substantially improved livery. Amazing that these teams mid-practice session have completely recovered these cars just through the magic of the internet. So sorry about that, everyone. Anyway, David Soranzo here in fourth, as I mentioned, as Ike pulls it in and did not manage to go any faster. Will Lyon here in fifth place. Last time by a 106.2. That's not going to improve time, so Will's going to need to find actually a 106.8. So going to need to find a little bit more time out there if Will wants to get up in the front. Julian Altena. It's like the same thing, just kind of seeking out a faster lap. Mark Johnston also just trying to get in something a little faster than the 106.43 currently posted. Matthew Levine taking to the track. Of course, teammate to Will Lyon at SMS. Move back to Connor Pearson. Connor's made so much, has made so many waves in this series thus far that you would think by the amount of times that I've mentioned Connor's name that Connor was at the top of the point standings, but that is not the case. Connor's had flashes of brilliance and up in the front, towards the back. We've had people say that Connor is super fast and getting around everybody. Some people say Connor's very clean. I've had other people complain and say Connor's not as clean of a racer. Either way, not up for us to judge here at VirtualRacing.Network. Hope everybody understands. We just call it as we see it. If it looks like somebody is definitely at fault, I think it's an obvious thing for us to make that decision at the time. But otherwise, if it's a racing incident, I personally myself as a racer, there's so many times I walk away frustrated that the iRacing system is the way that it is, but nevertheless, you know, sometimes drivers, they just make an errant move, or they move up when they should have moved down, and, you know, tempers flare. So it's not always easy to tell on the first glance. But here's Oscar Fredrickson, another driver, again, we've seen charge up the leaderboards multiple times. Right now sitting in 10th spot with a 106.51. It's not a bad time, actually. Pretty close. Just if Oscar were to take a 10th off of that time, would move up about 4 or 5 spots. So very, very close times here in Mid-Ohio. Sam Blackwood, of course, Sam also having been up in the top of the race standings a few times, including last week at Pocono, and kind of getting shuffled back in an incident. So here, Michael Grossberger, and it's remarkable in this series. There's so many competitive drivers, and definitely Michael Grossberger fits into that category, always being right there towards the front, especially on the ovals, and just ending up in the wrong place at the wrong time, getting caught in an incident. Sometimes not Michael's fault at all. Just, again, it's just part of the iRacing thing. You do your best, you do as well as you can, and unfortunately, just doesn't always work out. So we look at Taylor Mills not having the exact qualifying effort that she would love to have. 107.27, the best time for Taylor thus far, and I'm not sure, you know, I didn't really talk too much with Taylor ahead of time or after the last race, but there's a lot of drivers that, you know, they just specialize for the most part in the ovals and aren't necessarily as much into doing the road courses. And perhaps that's the case for Taylor. I don't think so, though, because Taylor has a 44.27 I rating. So more than likely, it's just that Taylor is not really hooking up with this setup today. And so we wait to see. Possibly Taylor will get on with the set. For those of you Taylor fans out there, I know Taylor's also streaming, so that's awesome. You can catch her over on her stream on Twitch. But for those of you fans, I know you want to see much better qualifying and potentially up there running in the front for the race. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's a key part of our team picture. Obviously, the better that Taylor does, the better that TM Racing will do in the team championship. So that's where it's crucial as a team, of course. As Eric O'Connor last lap actually went faster, a 105.496 for O'Connor. Absolutely astounding stuff from the American. A 105.496. So the time that we were looking to beat previously was a 106.157. That time held by Adam Blocker. And we're actually now currently faster than the overall 2021, not just the qualifying world record. The 2021 overall world record is at 105.796. That's the official time. We've got at least one driver that is already under that time, a 105.49. So you are literally seeing one of the fastest times ever turned by an IndyCar here in 2021. It's right here on VirtualRacing.Network. So glad to bring it to you live. The PMRL and Eric O'Connor really laying it down. 106.496 last time by. Let's see if we can peek at the sector times. And I'm not sure if this is going to show us exactly what we want to see. I don't think these two laps are faster. Be sure nice if we could have additional timing and scoring information up here, but so far it doesn't look like any three of these sectors are going green or purple, so I don't think this lap is going to be faster. And as we get down under 1 minute and 22 seconds to go, that time by Erica 106.36, so not faster. Who could be faster? Well, we've got Will Lyon out there on a flyer as well. Does not look like we're going to see Eric O'Connor eclipse that time. So we go back to Will. And Will Lyon last time by was a 107.04. And Will backing off a little bit. Oscar Fredrickson, I think, might be on a flyer as well. Pulling off there. So Matthew Levine. Looks like Levine going a little slowly. Grossberger perhaps on a final flyer, just trying to catch those drivers who want one last chance at it. And Grossberger backing out. So it's Tim Miller. Tim running really well in some races. Again, much like Taylor, kind of scratch your head. You know, it's surprising that these drivers not really hooking up with these cars as well as you would think today. Just not really getting in at a qualifying time indicative of where you would think they would be qualifying, but nevertheless, hey, so glad to have you with us over in the chat room. Got Big Red joining us again. Thank you so much each and every time you join us. Big Red, pleasure. And Thomas Christensen, as well as Jamba No 2189. rooting on David Soranzo. So, as we wait for this one to finish up, last drivers out on track right now, finishing at the moment. Will Lyon still shown on track, as well as Tim Miller here on your screen. So we watch them and see if they can get in a better lap. Last time by Will Lyon, a 106.35. Not able to go faster. Very close, but not able to go faster. Tim Miller bringing it in. So that will do it for that session. And as the drivers get set to head out for their warm-up, as soon as we get the results on the screen, we'll be able to bring it to you officially. Just always have to wait that last little second until it goes official. And it should be showing up momentarily on your screen. It loves to make me wait. There it is. And if you'll notice, I'm really excited about this. I'll tell you why in a minute. It's Eric O'Connor with a world record lap. It won't go down in the official history books because that's the way that the leagues work. But faster than anyone has ever officially turned in 2021 an IndyCar lap here at Mid-Ohio. It's Eric O'Connor with your pole position, a 105.496, stealing the pole from Alex Salmon. Alex Salmon there in second place, 0.370 off the pace, and that is a big difference. So what a monster lap from Eric O'Connor. Quite amazing stuff. Salmon, of course, under that world record time, as well as the qualifying world record time, as well as Andreas Eick. David Soranzo coming in fourth. Be starting fourth on the grid. Will Lyon, Sam Blackwood, Julian Altena. We'll be going through the rest of the starting order here in just a minute as they get gridded up. Wait for the rest of the... Oh, it loves to do this, right? Oh, I guess we got everybody on there. That's why. 18 in the field today, including, you see, the last drivers there with no time. Jesper Orman, Jessica Sabin, and Vilda, who's the steward. So interesting, because it looks like Jesper stopping in just to get points today. Clever. Very clever. Jesper had said that they wouldn't be running today because they don't do ovals, but if you stop in, you get those points, I believe, if you qualify and just park it. So, interesting strategy. Always got to be thinking strategy out there as we watch the cars circulate here at the beautiful Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. So the cool part that I wanted to bring attention to is, if you notice, the teams are now officially working in our results. It's quite a complicated... It's actually not that complicated. It's when you learn how to do it, it's quite simple of a process to get that working, but it's so roundabout and not the way so in other words, you're putting a team name into the software 3 different times so that it can be read from 3 different spots. So we're working with our software people on that and everything else to make sure that this is a great experience for you. But it's been so great to bring you the Prime Meridian Racing League, and of course, here at VirtualRacing.Network, we're also bringing you the IndyCar iRacing series. That on Fridays. We'll be doing another broadcast on Friday as well. It's at 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 o'clock Eastern time. I guess would be 7 o'clock British Standard Time. So make sure you tune in for that. And also, we do cover the U.S. IndyCar League, that on Sundays. It's quite early for me, 7 o'clock in the morning out here on the west coast of the United States. But for you on the east, it's a bit easier, 10 o'clock. And, of course, over in BST land, it's going to be about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So make sure, if you want to see some Indy cars out there on Sundays and they're not racing in real life on Sunday, well, even if they are, feel free to just tune in. It's so cool, and it's so cool to have these IndyCar leagues and be covering all of this here on VirtualRacing.Network as we watch Andreas Eick go sliding off. There's Eric O'Connor, your pole sitter on screen. And the beautiful thing with what's happening with VirtualRacing.Network is we're going to be making some really great, exciting announcements here very shortly regarding additional series and leagues, and it's all good for groups like the PMRL as we get a chance to cross-promote. And so it's a great segue for me to mention, if you'd like to get into the PMRL, it's a little late this season. This is round 7, but Season 2 is going to be beginning not that long away, so definitely make sure to look up the PMRL. The official PMRL is the Twitter handle for Prime Meridian Racing League. And then, of course, through iRacing, you just look up PMRL and you will find them on there. So that's the end of the warm-up session, and we get ready for today's race. I hope you're excited. I am too. As we head into round 7, Mid-Ohio. We will walk through today's starting order as the cars start heading out onto the track and start gridding. We'll also take a look at the weather here while we have a moment. Just 72 degrees. We do expect that will rise over time, but currently 72, 7-mile-an-hour cross breeze. Beautiful day here, Lexington, Ohio. Of course, right in the backyard of Honda and a number of other great sponsors to the IndyCar series. And we wait for the cars to get rolling on track. So, as we await that, we will... There we go, we finally get rolling. So we'll walk you through the starting order. It is Eric O'Connor starting next to Alex Salmon, Andreas Eick, and Will Lyon. Lights are off on the pace car. As we get ready to go, it will be... There we go. It's Eric O'Connor leading us to the green flag. Andreas Eick diving down the inside immediately of Alex Salmon, not able to get the pass done on the outside of the first corner. There, unfortunately, Salmon off and loses several positions. Salmon rejoins back in 6th, just trying to fight out a position there as we get some more changing up at the front. It's Will Lyon up into 3rd. So move Lyon up into 3rd, already up 2 positions. Blackwood now up 2 positions from 6th. And Julian Altena now looking to make a move on Sam Blackwood. Number of cars locking up. Mark Johnston, we have a note, has gone off track. We'll take a look at what happened there. Johnston going slow. But we will take a look at what happened in just a moment to our 2nd place runner and championship leader, Alex Salmon. But it's Eric O'Connor, our pole sitter, who didn't have a problem with the start, as there's a little bit of overcast over the track. That's why it's a little dark on screen. Andreas Eick in 2nd place. So Eick now up into 2nd as a driver runs really wide back there. I believe that to be Will Lyon. Yeah, that is Will Lyon, in fact, going very wide through turn 1. Collects it back and gets it back on the track. Does not lose a position. Sam Blackwood, of course, and then Julian Altena in 5th, having gained 2 spots. So Alex Salmon slid back 2 spots there early on. Let's take a look at that. We're also seeing another note. Let's see if we go back. This was Alex Salmon And it's just that easy. I mentioned it in qualifying. So easy to get that groove wrong in through turn 1, and always cold tires, and they tend to understeer and push out quite badly through turn 1. So that looks like to be all that happened there. Alex Salmon continuing in 6th, losing 2 positions, unfortunately. Look back to Eric O'Connor up in front, getting it done. Starting 3rd lap with a 107.62. Race lap, last lap. And Andreas Ike, now you see Ike just getting around David Soranzo there. Soranzo actually slid off the track. Let's go take a look at that. You might have to back this one up a moment because I'm not really pulling up the... For some reason, this doesn't want to come up. Apologize, we don't really want to miss the coverage for you, but yeah, that note doesn't want to come up. It's telling us that David Soranzo had a crash and jumped to the pits. So we'll look to get more information on that. Soranzo was starting in, I believe, 4th spot. So not a good turn of events for Soranzo. The French driver has been up in the front of these races quite a few times. Kind of getting ready for Soranzo to do a post-race interview with us. Nevertheless, facing some adversity here at Mid-Ohio, and that's exactly what you're going to see for these 64 laps. As we're watching here live, VirtualRacing.Network, uninterrupted coverage of Round 7 from the Prime Meridian Racing League. Once again, thank you for joining us over on VirtualRacing.Network, and we have another note that Mark Johnston has had an issue. Mark Johnson going around Taylor Mills. Taylor last week's winner, and Taylor comes out a little wide, taps wheels with Johnston. I don't know if she just didn't know if Johnston was there or what, but Johnston does a little loop and brings it back on track. I believe that would be, and that allowed Tim Miller to get by there for 13th place. So then we have this later note that says, while Soranzo was running up there just in front of Sam Blackwood, Soranzo having another moment and sliding off the track. CSR driver there looking to get it back underway and back on track. And in the meantime, and we're having another note. Folks, there's things happening all over the place. This one from Alex Salmon. Your points leader spinning out in turn 1. We have a yellow flag. That may be for this incident because we had several notes happening at exactly the same time. Alex Salmon comes crabbing back onto the track, and there, another very slow car behind. I believe that was Oscar Fredrickson. We'll look at that from Oscar Fredrickson's point of view. So there, again, yes, that was Oscar Fredrickson. So Fredrickson, yeah, that's just a little late on that one. This was while they were still on track, and Fredrickson just losing it. I don't know if it was the sight of Mills off track. Sometimes it can be quite distracting, kind of target fixation. Not that that's what happened, but there goes Taylor Mills off, and you maybe just got it a little wrong there and just put it off in the same spot. Now, normally you would maybe even say something like, perhaps there was a perhaps there was oil down if this were real life, but that's not the case. We see Alex Salmon struggling with the car. We saw it crabbing as soon as the accident happened, and then Alex having to deal with getting that limping car back to the pits, having a moment there. So we have a note that even later on from that, we have another incident here, Alex Salmon. So this is just, you know, trying to get that limping car back. It has no downforce, it's broken and quite unpredictable. So Alex doesn't want to spend the time to have it towed in. And I think that finally brings us up to speed. That was a whole lot in just a few laps. And, you know, lap 5 is in these conditions, I really wouldn't expect that the tires were going off here. But that's usually what you start to see right around lap 6 to 8, especially on a hot track. With these red tires, you do see them start to go off right around that 6 to 8 lap mark, and that's when drivers really start to tend to have problems because, you know, these cars, interestingly enough, as we look at Eric O'Connor here, still your leader, not catching any of those incidents. Andreas Eich in 2nd, and Will Lyon in 3rd. Sam Blackwood 4th, and Julian Altena 5th. We're going to look to see if anybody takes advantage of this yellow flag in pits. That would be a great strategy because you do have to pit and take on different tires. So we do not see the leader coming in. So at some point, these drivers will have to pit and take on black tires. And there we see Connor Pearson, who started this race on blacks on the primaries, now probably going to be switching to alternates, and will be able to stay with those alternates for the rest of the race. We look back at Tim Miller doing the same thing, getting off the black tires, going to the reds. So also, Fredrickson is into the pits still, I think still awaiting to get out. So that is a very, very interesting strategy move from Connor Pearson and Tim Miller. They didn't really have much to lose, but they've already made that first pit stop. Now, that's not going to be enough to get them to the end, but on fuel. But as far as tire choice, they will not have to suffer with those black tires, which are actually slower. And they do give you a little bit better wearability, but theoretically, you can get a full stint also out of the red tires as well. So there's really not much in terms of the durability that would be useful out of the black tires. It's just kind of, you have to use them. But today, you know, most of these drivers electing to hold on to that track position, except for Connor Pearson and Tim Miller. So we will watch that intensely and see, as well as, you know, actually Taylor Mills making that stop, still on the lead lap. Alex Salmon still on the lead lap. So really fortunate for those drivers that yellow came out, because that is really going to allow them to bunch up and rejoin on the lead lap. But not only that, if we go back and we take a look at Taylor, does Taylor have reds on? Taylor does have red tires on. So I'm not sure if Taylor had black tires on before. You can see that Alex Salmon just behind has black tires on. So I guess Alex needing to get that black tire, primary tire stint done. And so we wait for Alex. We wait for the rest of the field to circulate here. And so very interesting strategy decisions. And we'll just take a brief moment for a break and let you watch the cars circulate, as we still have one more lap until we go green. So as the cars continue to circulate behind pace car, and Eric O'Connor finishing up this final lap under the pace car. Just a recap, we're here because there was a crash in turn 1, and that involved Alex Salmon as well as Oscar Fredrickson and possibly other cars coming back onto the track, possibly in the pathway of the leader, so the caution was thrown. Now you can see on track Eric O'Connor leading, Andreas Ike, Will Lyon, Sam Blackwood, Julian Altena, Matthew Levine making an appearance up into the top 10 in 6th place, Michael Grossberger in 7th, David Glass 8th, and Mark Johnston in 9th. Connor Pearson now in 10th, and of course all eyes on Connor with those red tires. Having done the black tire primaries, we'll see if Connor can make something of that. Green flag as Eric O'Connor leads us back, and a little ways back we have drivers going too wide. There's a crash. It's Julian Altena, and I believe, was it Connor Pearson? No. Was Alex Salmon caught back in that? No, who was that? Sam Blackwood. Sam Blackwood, unfortunately, and now we're having a note. Will Lyon has had a problem. Also dropping out of the top of the order. This is really shaking some things up. No, we're seeing Will Lyon back in the race, so perhaps just a quick disconnection. But let's take a look here at what happened. And we're yellow again with Julian Altena crashing. We've gone yellow. Was this? So there's Julian Altena spinning around. That was, wow, so much to figure out. That was later. This was Altena going off, I believe, in turn 1. So once again, those tires perhaps causing an issue in that crash with Sam Blackwood. So let's try and go from the green flag. We're going to go from Julian Altena's point of view. We're back here in the pack. And on the outside of Blackwood, and Blackwood just seems to lose it there and unfortunately starts spinning towards the outside. That collects Altena, unfortunately. So let's back it up and see if we can tell what exactly happened from Blackwood's point of view. Just heading into turn 1, and yeah, I think just gets a little too close there to the car in front. I believe that was Matthew Levine, and then unfortunately collecting Julian Altena. And I'm not sure any other drivers were caught in that. So Blackwood then would circulate around. So we're here under yellow again. Gives me a chance to come over to the chat room, say thank you again to everybody joining us. Another great turnout, and so glad to have yellows do breed yellows, as Big Red says. Looking for Tim Miller to get a top 10. And absolutely brutal. Danny Brennan cheering on Team Wyvern and OCM. But yeah, it's a little brutal, and yellows do breed yellows. Unfortunately, I think everybody starts to get in their head, oh shoot, something could go wrong in this race. It's been so clean, everybody's been so good, but getting away with so much out there. But sooner or later, yes, cars coming back on track causing other problems, and needing a yellow to be thrown. So the admin staff working overtime, making sure that this is going well. And of course, I should throw out a thank you, Jessica Saban. She's doing a great job running the PMRL, along with Vilda Wallen and a number of others that are working every single week, making sure the setups are right, making sure everybody's all of the safety incidents are reviewed and penalty points are applied. So lots of different action, though, as we see Andreas Ike in the pits, Connor Pearson in the pits, back in the pits, just topping off. There you see David Glass switching over to the black tires. Tim Miller. Will Tim end up in top 10? That is what Big Red wants to know. Coming back out in 12th place. So there also Soranzo getting back out for the David Soranzo fans. 1 lap down now for Soranzo, so a chance to possibly get that lap back, maybe, with these yellow flags. Really, really tricky on a road course. But nevertheless, we'll take a look at what that does in terms of stops. As the field is circulating and getting ready to go here again, about another half a lap. Actually, we're going to have another lap under the safety car, so that's perfect. We will put up the pit stop numbers, and there you can kind of see it illustrated the best, as Ike has already made that pit stop. Now, we're just 10 laps into this. This is going to be lap 11, and we'll have to see where that will put Ike in terms of the fuel numbers at the end of this. Obviously, the longer that we go under yellow, the further that you can stretch that next tank, but I don't know that that means that Ike will still be able to make it on just one more stop. And definitely none of these other drivers, even those who haven't pitted, will be able to make it on just one more stop. So it's going to really shake some things up. I think the most crucial part of this is perhaps the tire situation, and that's not data that we're given that we can show really easily on screen. As we see David Soranzo back into the pits, so won't get the wave around, but probably just topping off here. And also, unfortunately, there was not enough green flag between the last caution flag and this caution flag. In fact, I think we didn't even get a full lap in. We just got the first corner, and that was where the incident was. Because of that, it will not count as having taken the black tires and used them, because you need to get at least one full green flag on track where you cross the start-finish line, and then the second green flag lap can be taken back into the pits. So you could, theoretically in this league, you could come out one lap on black tires, go across the start-finish line, and then the very next, that same lap, pull into the pits and take red tires, and that would be a legal maneuver. But because there was not a full green flag lap, these drivers not able to pull that off. In fact, you would need 2 full green flag laps. So in any case, that didn't really necessarily help somebody to skirt the rules or make a strategy decision in that way. But the drivers that have not taken tires will be at a disadvantage and will definitely be feeling it a little bit compared to those behind who do have fresh tires. So we're going to watch the drivers like Alex Salmon, Taylor Mills. Alex Salmon now up into 6th, if you can believe it, with the way the yellows have shaken this one out. Salmon back up into 6th. Taylor Mills, for the Taylor fan club out there, running in 7th. She's up 7 spots from where she qualified. It's like everything just kind of falling towards Alex Salmon and Taylor Mills. But Andreas Ike also taking tires there on this latest caution, lap 10. And as we head into the carousel, we're getting ready to go. And Eric O'Connor jumps on it. Back to the green flag we go here at Mid-Ohio. See some more racing back in the pack. But it looks like most drivers staying 1-2. Alex Salmon trying to get around Mark Johnston on your screen there. Tough thing to do. And up front, it is Grossberger running side by side with Matthew Levine for third place. Grossberger's here shown on the inside, running side by side. Levine actually makes it in front, and Grossberger there in the darker blue color for TMR, for Taylor Mills Racing. Austrian choosing discretion, better part of valor. Love to see that, because brakes save lives for sure in iRacing. Mark Johnson currently in 5th, up 5 spots. Grossberger up 8 spots thus far. We watch up front here, Johnston getting passed by Salmon down the inside of the keyhole. Salmon makes it stick. So Johnston sliding backwards, and Salmon with those fresh tires, just like we were talking about, kind of carving up the competition here. It's going to take a lap or two for this to really come into effect. As the tires get up to temp, and those new tires can be so cold. They have no temperature built into them at all. No tire blankets here in the IndyCar series. Andreas Eich also with those fresh tires, looking to see Andreas making a move up to the front. Currently sitting in the best position as far as fuel and tires go. Actually, Sam Blackwood, who's in 12th, stopped the latest on lap 13, but of course those were just primarily laps under caution. So back at the front, it's Eric O'Connor who leads Will Lyon. O'Connor, your pole sitter, has been looking practically unstoppable here today, but Will Lyon, quite a shock, up 3 spots thus far, running in 2nd, as Alex Salmon had a problem on the opening lap, and that shuffled Alex back. That's also allowed, through some pit stop strategy, Matthew Levine, Will Lyon's teammate, to now get up into the podium position in 3rd. And of course, Matthew also, as well as Grossberger behind, have not yet stopped, so still running on that old rubber, but light fuel loads compared to everyone else. 107.79 that time by. So these drivers in the top 3 doing 107s, everyone else in the 108s and 109s. You can see the gap already now starting to really open up to Will Lyon from Eric O'Connor, and also Levine falling back already 4.5 seconds. So this one's kind of breaking open, but anything can happen here. So we see Michael Grossberger in 4th, as I mentioned, up to 8 spots. Alex Salmon up and down day, but Alex Salmon currently running in 5th. Again, with those fresh tires, not yet able to run away from Mark Johnston, but we will see how this all shakes out with the fuel and pit strategy very, very soon. As we're now on lap 16. I believe these drivers that have not yet pitted will be coming in around lap 23, I think was the note that we had ahead of time. So then we look at Andreas Eich. Also, he's down 4 positions, but on a different fueling strategy. And Connor Pearson, one of the last cars to take fuel, get tires, now up into 8th. Taylor Mills in 9th. Certainly much better off than the qualifying in 14th. So Taylor coming forward and perhaps looking at a top 5 today. David Glass here up 3 spots in 10th, and Tim Miller, your last car on the lead lap. Tim up 4 spots today in 11th, but again, looking for a top 10 to get those crucial points and stay up there in the championship. I think if you're thinking championship at all, you're definitely thinking, I've got to get a top 10 today. Now, we're also not seeing Christian Malkorek, another driver who is featured well in this league, but Christian actually, I think on vacation, on holiday this week. So we look for Christian return to action, back again next week. this would be another track that Christian would enjoy and do well at. Christian really loving the opportunity to get into IndyCars on iRacing and get out there on all the real IndyCar circuits, such as Mid-Ohio that you see here. So how is this going? Well, it's lap 18 of 64, and you're watching the PMRL here on VirtualRacing.Network. It's round 7 from Mid-Ohio, and it's been an Eric O'Connor show thus far today. Other drivers coming forward and some suffering issues and then still coming back, but really Eric O'Connor just on the ball. Nothing bad to say thus far, coming up on a third of the way through the race. We watch to see how this one's going to break apart with fuel strategy and whether Eric can hang on to it all race long. I do have to say this is one of those tracks where it's kind of easy to just fall into a sleep when you're out there running. It doesn't matter, front, middle, back, whatever. As you can see, the cars get a bit spaced out here. They just get into that groove, and it's kind of like, well, this is where my car is going to run today. And so it becomes a race mostly of muscle memory. And so you just do lap after lap after lap. Of course, that's really not a smart thing to do overall. You have to keep waking yourself up just because of how quickly it can go away. I mean, you've got to keep your eye on the prize here, and that is that the tires can go away at any point. The driver from behind might choose, as we see a driver having a moment there. I'm not really sure who that is. Is that Grossberger? Or is that Levine? No, it must be. Well, there's Grossberger on the track, coming up to Matthew Levine, 4/10 back now. So that was not who I believe we saw. Mark Johnston in front of Alex Salmon. Alex Salmon having a little bit of difficulty here as we see Eric O'Connor. Oh, and there you can see why Alex Salmon did go off track. It's not even shown as a note on our screen. Oh wait, there it is. Let's go see what that was. Here's Alex Salmon sliding off track here. This was what we saw on screen. And getting into Johnston. Johnston comes back through, and I think that netcode collision right there, or perhaps it took a moment for that wing piece to fall off, but you saw it there. The right side wing falling off, and just as that was going on, we also had another moment from Julian Altena. This from 15th spot, sliding away and coming back onto the track, but it was none other than Eric O'Connor. Of course, as we take the camera away, last lap it was a 1:06.88. And that is not going to be fast enough to take the race world record, or to be right there for that race world record for 2021. That's set by Eric Troiano with a 1:06.345. Probably using quite a bit of push to pass on that lap. And as far as push to pass goes, Eric O'Connor down to 7. The two drivers behind, Will Lyon and Matthew Levine, not burning any push to pass at all, still with 10. But O'Connor, that fast lap would put O'Connor with the third fastest 2021 race lap of 21, as I mentioned. So fast stuff. It's really great to see here, shattering essentially the 2021 world record overall and the qualifying world record. And now I was just kind of expecting the clean sweep out of Eric, but we'll see if maybe the later stint with some extra push to pass, if that can happen. But otherwise, super fast stuff from Eric. Eric just right now 3.2 seconds up on Will Lyon, almost 5 seconds up on Matthew Levine in third place. This is exactly the type of day that you want to have with Eric O'Connor for sure. So as he continues around there, we just have a moment. We'll take a look again on your screen at where your favorite drivers are. Alex Salmon in first of the championship. Phil Lee not in today's race. This would have been a great race for Phil. Saranzo has fallen down the order today. Will Lyon getting some good points. Andreas Ike dropping back down, and Connor Pearson also having a decent run today, currently up in 7th place. So a number of drivers, actually a number of drivers not here today that could have done well given the low field size today. But nevertheless, those that are here, like Will Lyon, that are putting in a great performance, are going to see their points go up for sure. Fortunately for those drivers, this the point system not based on strength of field, so you get as many points for first, second, and third as you would as if there was 40 drivers in the field. So once again, just all part of that strategy. I see another note here. Looks like David Glass having a moment here. Glass running in 9th at the right now and then going off track. So I'm guessing that was not a pass by Blackwood there. So Glass, just a momentary problem, and manages to get it back together and get it back on track, pointed forward. Get into that long stretch now where it's all just down to the drivers themselves and staying consistent, staying clean, executing your strategy. Take a look on board with Will Lyon. See what it looks like from Will's point of view. I mentioned Will still with 10 push-to-passes remaining. Will not, unfortunately, able to match that astounding rocket pace of Eric O'Connor. Eric last time by a 107.07. I mean, that's just incredible. Just really pounding out the fast laps, Eric is. Will, really doing the best that Will can. But a 108.24, actually slower than several of the drivers behind, with a 107.61 for Matthew Levine and a 107.74 for Matthew Grossberger. So really, the driver we might want to be watching from is Matthew Levine. Even though Will that last time by 107.35 and Levine a 107.99. So I think these drivers just doing their best to stay consistent, put in quick laps, but it isn't easy. These IR18 IndyCars, not easy whatsoever to master and get them to stick the same way every lap. It seems like the tires are so dynamic, how they react to the conditions on the track, just even without making mistakes or substantially changing your inputs, the tires the car almost seems like it wants to do something different from one lap to the next, just depending on where you're at in the stint with those tires and where the degradation is going. So you're just constantly adjusting, and that's really back to what I was saying earlier about you have to stay awake, you have to stay on guard and aware of what's going on, because these tires can go away on you at any moment, and you may find yourself chasing your tail as it spins out from underneath you. This is a very regular occurrence. That time by Eric O'Connor, just continuing to pound the fast laps. 107.10, blistering fast laps, faster than anybody by 3/4 of a second. And Eric is just absolutely shredding this field at the moment. So it may be a battle for second, or perhaps not. Again, it does come down to long run. And if these drivers hang onto their tires better, then than Eric does with all of this hard charging about and getting fast laps, well, the end of the stint might be pretty brutal for Eric, but some of these other drivers might have what it takes. So we'll start walking through the field here. Matthew Levine, third place car. Currently, this up on the screen here, so you can see. Actually, we'll show you the battle box. Gives you an idea where they're at on the track and positions they've gained today, kind of their speed that last lap, what their gap is. So Matthew Levine, they're running in third, up 6 spots today. We look at Michael Grossberger, who's jumped 8 spots since the start. Fantastic day for Grossberger, not having pitted yet. So again, it's all going to come down to those tires at the end. Mark Johnston also, and that is something to consider for Eric. Eric will have to switch to those black tires, and we'll have to see how badly that affects Eric's pace. Mark Johnston here running in 5th, up 5 spots. Also part of the group that has not yet pitted. Now we get to Andreas Ike in 6th, down 3 spots, but has pitted, currently running those black tires. And what kind of lap times? Well, last time a 107.96. So that's actually fast enough to stay here in 6th place. Would have actually been faster than both, honestly, well, I was going to say faster than both the cars in front, but the times keep fluctuating, to be honest. Those black tires look to be maybe a quarter of a second a lap slower than the red tires. It's not much, but just a little bit. Still able to run in the pack and not really losing positions, Andreas Ike, with those black tires at the moment. So just behind Connor Pearson on the red tires. And Connor's had a very interesting day. Of course, one of those ones, as I mentioned, who has taken fuel and pitted since we had those caution flags back on lap 10. Taylor Mills behind in 8th place, up 6 spots today. Again, not a great qualifying effort, but Taylor fighting her way forward here up into 8th and potentially more on the books. So we flash back to Eric O'Connor, who goes faster again, just by 100th of a second or so, but still increasing that fastest lap as we go ahead, and not with push to pass. A 106.88. Let's, I want to see what the lap time history is, and then we'll get a real understanding of how it's done. So take a look on your screen. This is really in the ballpark of what you would love to see if you're running strategy or running the team for Eric, or if Eric is your driver, or if you are Eric yourself. This is the type of consistency you want to have. A 107.1, a 107.1, rounded, a 107.4. And Eric does pit. Eric in the pits, and even better with that consistency, without push to pass, doing fastest lap of the race on entry to the pits. That's incredible. Or the lap before entry to the pits. That's absolutely incredible, as we see also Matthew Levine now into the pits. Michael Grossberger. We did hear Connor Pearson having a moment. Did this in the keyhole coming into the pits? Nope. Kind of lost there, but there Connor Pearson going off. Connor Pearson going off track. Let's see if we can get back a little bit earlier there. This was just moments earlier. And Connor just losing it right before you would come into the pits. That's an interesting place to lose it there. Right, so just before the keyhole. Very, very interesting. That turned over the lead momentarily to Will Lyon. And so Will Lyon now in the pits, one of those drivers who did not stop. And your final driver who has not stopped is Mark Johnston, who will now pull it into the pits. So Will Stove shown in the lead, but look who's taking over. It's Andreas Ike past them all and up into the lead. So that strategy call of coming in when Andreas did to take tires, take fuel, Andreas on black tires and in the lead. Ultimate strategy call, currently now shown 3.74 seconds over Eric O'Connor, but they will know whether they can make it to the end. I don't have that number, whether they can or not. Eric O'Connor with, we've got 33 laps to go, so I think everybody's going to be making another stop. I can't suppose that any of these drivers could make it more than 30 laps unless we have a lot of yellow. So everybody's going to have to do one more stop. The question is, Andreas Ike coming in on lap 10. And Ike continuing on out there. I think that it is possible that Ike may be able to do this on one more stop, therefore putting Ike onto the same strategy as O'Connor. Now that would be, if Ike came in on lap 10, there was some caution laps there, and we're currently on 32, so that's just 22 laps that Ike would have done by now. So we're just gonna have to watch and see when Ike does make that pit for fuel. But currently Ike sitting in that leader spot on black tires, and that also, as we see Eric O'Connor, as I mentioned, having to go to those black tires. First lap out a 107.762, Andreas Ike a 108.46. So Ike has been on those black tires a long time, and of course that pace is going to be dropping off for Ike. We may be able to see Eric O'Connor actually have simply newer tires and fresher tires be able to haul in Andreas Ike up in front. In the meantime, behind, it's Will Lyon in third, Connor Pearson in fourth, even with that spin coming back out into fourth. And Matthew Levine currently shown in fifth, Michael Grossberger in sixth, David Glass in seventh, Alex Salmon in eighth, Johnston in ninth, and Tim Miller rounding out the top 10. So the Big Red Tim Miller fan club over in the chat room looking to get that top 10, and it's a possibility today, maybe even more on the cards. But this is where the interesting action is as we've settled into this race here. We're just over halfway. Again, so pleased to have you with us. I'm Trevor Greenfield, your host commentator. Been with you since round 3 of this championship, and we're so pleased here on Virtual Racing Network to be continuing this partnership here through the rest of this season. I have a very good feeling about next season as well, so please continue to drop us notes. Let us know what we're doing wrong, either in the comments or the private messages. Our goal is definitely to just keep growing and getting better and better and better with this coverage that we're able to do here, and to, of course, make it easier on all the competitors and the fans to follow along. So here on your screen, you're watching the race unfold. It's Eric O'Connor, and you can see that gap coming down to Andreas Ike, chipping in, and there Ike getting closer and closer on the screen. That last time by a 107.5 for O'Connor, a 108.5 for Andreas Ike. It's just a matter of a couple of laps now, and we will have a battle on our hands for first place. Will Lyon, 5 seconds adrift of this battle, so he's not really looking at the moment like he might climb up there. Also, while we have a second, I believe this was Alex Salmon, yes, passing Mark Johnston there, as you saw Johnston exiting the pits on the left-hand side. So Salmon continuing to climb back after Salmon's earlier issues. And here, Taylor Mills this happened moments ago, sliding off in turn 1 again and coming back on. Still improved 3 positions on the day, but that won't help the overall speed. So we go back to this live shot of Eric O'Connor, your pole sitter, who led much of the first part of this race. And the only reason why Andreas Eick managed to get in front was not due to passing, it was due to strategy, taking advantage of an early yellow, coming in and getting new tires and fuel, and leaving these other drivers out there on the track to have to run out their tires and fuel, and that has allowed Andreas Eick to take over the lead. Eick that time stepping it up a little bit more, a 1:08.29. So we've got a fresh battle for the lead on our hands. Hope you're enjoying this one. I am too. It's a bit like you kind of hope that these races at Mid-Ohio might turn out with an actual race on your hands. This Eric O'Connor chasing down Andreas Eick. So it's very, very close now, just half a second separating these two cars as Eric O'Connor continues to throw down the fast laps. That time a 1:07.71 on those black tires. So O'Connor getting great speed out of the primary tires. Both O'Connor and Eick on primaries. We watch these drivers continue to battle each other. They're just truly dueling on even planes right now, although Andreas Eick getting up there in tire life, coming in on lap 10 with those tires. So quite a difference. This now 17 laps. Sorry, lap 10. Goodness, that's 27 laps on these tires. That's insane. So Eick getting to the very end of the tire life and the stint. I'm not sure if Eick is going to try to pull it in anytime soon. Not right now. Eick stays out there. Here we've got just behind, it's in 8th place, this Mark Johnston going to the inside of David Glass and getting contact. That looked a little too close for comfort there. Let's go back to that. So it looked like the door was left open, and yet looked like Johnston kind of pushed out there into Glass. That's not looking too great. Tim Miller in the pits at the moment, just behind David Glass. So both of these drivers going to be taking service. And still at the front, no change here. Would have thought with the speed that O'Connor was coming flying up towards Eick with, that O'Connor would have sailed on by to Andreas Eick, said, see you later, I'm back in first and I'm gone. There, Eick into the pits. So Eick pits out of the lead and 26 laps to go. So this is great strategy for Eick. Assuming that Eick can make it to the end, Eick will be watching very intently the fuel calculation, or perhaps has somebody telling Eick who to, or what number to come in on, what lap to come in on. And so we'll watch to see Eick leave the pits here and where the rejoin will happen. Looks like into 6th place, just in front of Mark Johnston. You see Johnston flying around there through turn 1, so between Johnston and Salmon. So Eick, the first to get the final stop of the day done and in. back onto the red tires. So this is going to be crucial. This is definitely the undercut strategy playing out, though Ike will have to go the full distance on this stint. Some of these other drivers will be able to short fill, will be able to go less time on their tires. Ike is going to try to lay down some hot laps here and see if he can chip into those 107.85 laps that Eric O'Connor is doing. Now we've got Will Lyon hitting in from second place. Will taking service. That rear tire still turning. Someone forgot to tell Will to put the brakes on. And there, Will's off. Going to come back out just behind Mark Johnston. That does move Andreas Ike back up the order. That position right there with David Soranzo in the red and blue car. That is not for position. So that currently moves. So we see it looks like Will Lyon will fight his way past the lap car of Soranzo. And there is Eric O'Connor into the pits. So Eric not very far off, sensing, I'm sure, that he was going to be very, very vulnerable on those black tires, putting in the 107 laps. As we see Andreas Ike should be coming across the start-finish line here. And we'll see whether this exchange was good enough to get Ike that position, that first position back. That allows Matthew Levine to take over first. And the question is, where does this put Ike? Puts him just behind Eric O'Connor. So O'Connor doing just enough through that round of pit stops, perhaps short filling by a lap. I'm not really sure, but able to retake the lead overall, the position on track, the virtual lead of the race, as we still have Alex Salmon running in second place and Matthew Levine, Will Lyon's teammates, still lapping up at the front. But these drivers due to make their final stops and just 24 laps to go. Looks like Eric O'Connor back in control of the race with about a 1.7 second gap to Andreas Ike. And now Levine pitting for the final time. No, not pitting, excuse me. Someone else coming in, I believe Sam Blackwood. Alex Salmon now into the pits, so that possibly who I saw flying off the side there. So Salmon comes in to get that final pit stop, and as I mentioned, Eric O'Connor with that black and white vehicle, but just behind the orange and red and yellow gradient color, beautiful, of Andreas Ike. So Ike really was trying with that undercut strategy, but just not quite able to eke out enough. And you can see the difference there on those laps. So a bit tricky to tell in comparison because they pitted on different laps. But it looks like I would say Ike had the faster in lap. And actually, we have graphics to tell us all of this stuff, so I don't have to calculate it myself. Oops, that's not it. We want to see pit lane time. Let's check that out. So as we look at that, does that tell us anything? This last time, Ike a 32.4 and O'Connor with a 30.7. So that, I mean, is literally your gain right there. Just less time on pit road. Substantially less time on pit road. Almost 2 seconds. Upwards of 2 seconds faster for O'Connor. You can see the other drivers with their pit lane time. So really Ike just with a long stop. And perhaps that was because he had to take extra fuel. Not really sure. But we've got a fight on our hands. I mean, if O'Connor last time by a 107.60, Ike actually with a 107.7. So, I mean, these are pretty close lap times. I wouldn't necessarily say based on that Ike is out of it by any stretch. But that time by, so O'Connor that time a 107.37, Ike a 108.26. So I just don't think, based on, you know, Ike not really getting held up there, I would say it's looking like Eric O'Connor's show here. Just seems to have this pace, had it in qualifying, had it in the first part of the race, and only due to some heads-up caution flag strategy by Andreas Ike, hitting when Andreas did, and obviously O'Connor not wanting to leave the track position, that is the only way that Ike moved up into the lead. But so far, everything else absolutely going O'Connor's way. And marching just 19 more laps to go until victory here for round 7 for O'Connor. But not yet. Still 19 laps to go. Anything can happen, as we have seen multiple drivers suffering, and as we saw last week, not quite close enough for it, but with Taylor Mills and that miraculous last lap pass, last corner pass, that's one for the record books. So for those of you that didn't catch that broadcast, you've got to at least see that last moment of Taylor Mills making the pass in turn 3 at Pocono. Quite an amazing moment in VirtualRacing.Network history. We've had some close finishes, but that was one of the craziest passes on the last lap. I don't think we've seen anything quite like that yet. But nevertheless, here what we have seen is Eric O'Connor getting it done and continuing to get it done. That time a 108.3. No, I'm sorry, Matthew Levine still out there in front with a 108.33. O'Connor with a 107.14. So if Levine doesn't pit in the next 4 laps, as you can see up the track there, I think O'Connor is going to reel in Levine even without needing to take that position due to Levine pitting. But that's what happens. Levine came in on lap 29. O'Connor has more pace in general in this race anyway, and 11 laps newer tires, and Levine is just kind of a sitting duck out there. So Levine, though, still circulating as your leader on track, and we wait for Matthew to pull it in to the pits and take that final stop. Good news, as I mentioned, for Levine is by being this late in the race, it's going to be a nice quick stop. Won't have to take much fuel at all. And on track, we're seeing that looks like Alex Salmon getting by fellow TMR teammate Michael Grossberger. Grossberger in 8th, Salmon in 7th. Salmon's lost 5 spots today, trying to march forward. Possibly still has some residual damage on that machine, but Salmon is at the top of the points and Grossberger is not. Grossberger doing that real teammate positive thing to do and let your teammate go through who might need that help in the points. Andreas Ike continuing here as Mark Johnston is on the bubble. Matthew Levine has burned no push to passes, still in the lead, but Matthew Levine and Will Lyon, as well as David Glaz, still hanging on to all 10 of those push to passes. Go back to this live shot of Levine going around the carousel again. So we would expect in the next 10 laps or so, we will be seeing Matthew Levine in, and that will eventually turn over the lead to Eric O'Connor, who probably won't need that invitation, lapping about 0.7 of a second faster than Matthew Levine at the moment. But Eric O'Connor has been just absolutely turning in those sizzling laps all race long. You can see solidly in the low 107s, and again, just as I was saying a while ago, this is kind of the next level of competition and competitiveness. It's not just about getting that 1 or 2 fast laps. It's not just about being able to finish races. If you really, really want to improve, just take a look at those lap times. And I mean, I've seen other drivers that are even more consistent, certainly, but that range right there within 2 to 3 tenths each lap. Let's see what that lap, a 107.4. So like I said, just within that 2 to 3 tenths zone, a 107.1 to a 107.4, right in that ballpark. And not by Eric's self, not having those moments, not having those slides, not having the loops like we've seen some other drivers, a number of other drivers sliding off in turn 1. We have a couple of notes here. Sam Blackwood going off. Again, just Sam not really able to get the handle on that one today. Outback machine just not really sticking to the track. Here, Taylor Mills apparently having another runoff. Yep. But not touching the wall. Dancing a bit on the grass, brings it back on. Taylor sticking around in 11th place, still up from the qualifying spot of 14th, but now coming into the pits, just not really the day that Taylor would want. And we'll have to see whether Taylor can manage to finish this one out and get that 11th. But back up to the front, and Levine having to get around the lap car of Taylor Mills there. Taylor now giving Levine everything Levine can take in the mirrors. So we're seeing that Sam Blackwood having another moment. He's also now pulled back into the pits. But this is your battle on track, as Matthew Levine is in the first place at the moment for SMS Racing. We expect Matthew to be pitting within the next 5 to 6 laps or so. And just behind, as we saw Taylor going off track there, but just behind Eric O'Connor. And again, this is kind of the tale of 2 weeks. Eric O'Connor, we really didn't see anything from last week. Haven't really been seeing that kind of pace out of Eric, to be honest with you, thus far. But here at Mid-Ohio, I don't know if something special in the water at Mid-Ohio or what, but O'Connor just practically unbeatable. Just blindingly fast in qualifying and dominant here in the race thus far. Still looking to find a way by Matthew Levine, though, which is interesting because that may, as O'Connor gets held up here, that may actually give somebody a chance to try to catch up a little bit. But the point being that as O'Connor looks to make this pass actually for on track for the lead over Matthew Levine, just the tale of 2 weeks. Taylor Mills really struggling this week. Last week, Taylor with a heroic effort there. Taylor going off again in the background. Hopefully those incidents not really racking up too badly, as I see 14 incidents, and that is a totally unofficial number. We have no idea whether that's accurate or not, but it says 14 on our software. As you can see, O'Connor now trying to, not content to sit back and accept virtual lead of the race, wants to try to make a move. on Matthew Levine. So we sit back and watch how this one will shake out. Go on board with O'Connor and see if O'Connor can chase down Levine and make something interesting happen on screen. So, also, while I can mention it, as we're watching these drivers getting ready, some really great new announcements happening in the PMRL for Season 2, joining up with Majors Garage. And so, next season, there will be a lot more Majors Garage visibility, let's say, as part of the series. And so everything exciting and new and growing as part of the PMRL. So if you want to get in on this series, as I mentioned, make sure to head on over to iRacing and send a message and apply. I don't know if you apply to the league for this season or for next season, but look them up over on iRacing. And Season 2 going to be coming up before you know it. Just 10 races to this season, and then it'll be time to jump into Season 2. And we have a note that it says Alex Salmon has crashed. We go over to look, that being Sam Blackwood. Let's see if we can get over to the Alex Salmon incident. Alex Salmon dropping back out of the top 10, out of the top 5. That looks to be it. We don't have a note that Salmon went off the track, so we'll just have to back it up here and see if we can figure out what happened. Salmon going extremely slowly at that point. A new note that Alex Salmon has crashed as well, which when it says they've crashed, that doesn't necessarily mean crashed into a wall. It just means that they're going slowly. It almost looks as though Alex had a slowdown penalty or something for going over apex or something. I really can't tell. I would love to know more. But Alex coming to a complete stop on track, checking things, turning on the push to pass. I really couldn't tell you what's happening for Alex, but we'll go back to the live picture, and Alex now circulating. So, very interesting. Well, while we were doing that, Matthew Levine brought it into the pits. And our notes do not say that you missed. Oh, let's see here. You didn't enter pit lane. No. So you did not miss the pass on track. Just really trying to fight and get you guys out there. The passes on track, I don't want to miss them. But, so with Levine pitting, that leaves O'Connor in the lead over Andreas Eick by 7.4 seconds. Mark Johnston 11 seconds back from O'Connor at this point. Andreas Eick, I think, would be happy with this second place. As we see actually Johnston bring it in. Perhaps, Johnston, yeah, that's right, needed more fuel, so would not be able to make it to the end. Johnston bringing it in. And will take fresh tires, actually going to the black tires there, so perhaps did not actually take black tires at another stop in the race, and now we'll have to finish it out on those primaries. We'll come back out in front of David Glass, well in front of David Glass, huge gap, 46 seconds, so no problems for Mark Johnston to get that thing going again. And actually only about 3.7 seconds back from Grossberger. So Johnston, with the black tires, going to be at a disadvantage in terms of pace, but with new tires, might be able to go chase down Grossberger and get that position. So as O'Connor brings it through turn 1 with just 8 laps remaining. It's been the Eric O'Connor show today from top to bottom. Yes, there was a moment where we had the cameras pointed at Andreas Eick, but seems like long ago, as Eric O'Connor now with an almost 8-second gap over Andreas Eick and just continuing to put down a scintillating pace, currently lapping faster than just about everybody on the track and executing strategy just so well. We have not once mentioned an off track, a slide, anything. And unfortunately, speaking of that, Tim Miller, big red in the chat room, cover your eyes. Tim Miller sliding around backwards, and I believe that might be Alex Salmon getting by there in the picture. Tim Miller stuck. Not sure, couldn't get it into gear or what the deal was. Get that H gate going again, back up into first, but drop the clutch. Miller kind of having issues. Perhaps car not quite feeling right. But recovering in 11th place, still 4 positions up on the day. Perhaps still that top 10 is a possibility. But we go back to the lead, and it's O'Connor, who has 6 push to passes remaining. And as I'm mentioning that, Andreas Eick got 3 remaining and using it on that lap, as well as Will Lyon. So these cars now pretty evenly spaced out. 8 seconds from O'Connor to Eick, and there from Will Lyon to Eick is almost 5 seconds. Connor Pearson in 4th place, 7 seconds adrift of Will Lyon, but having a great run. I mean, 4th place, again, we're talking championship, and with 6 laps to go, you know, this is how you do the championship thing. If you don't have the pace to maybe stick it out all, you know, and be at the front all race long, this is how you pull off the championships and you get yourself up in the top 5 and the top 10 of championships, is you keep having these sorts of consistent runs. Yes, Connor that time by a 108.25, and all 3 of the leaders in front of Connor going faster, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about getting points in the championship, and the way you do that is your total finishing order. So being in 4th, Connor is going to get great points. You know, could have been a half a second faster. It won't matter as far as the points that are gained. So for those of you drivers out there who are maybe a little bit slower than the super aliens at the top, I mean, again, we saw O'Connor drop a time in half a second faster than the 2021 world record. Kind of hard to hang with people who just seem to find that extra little bit of time like that. Maybe you're growing as a driver, you're getting better, and slowly climbing the ranks. Of course, Connor has 3,900 iRating, so he's no newcomer to iRacing at all. But take a lesson from the AOR Endurance LMP1 champion from 2019. This is how you do it. Get those consistent finishes, even if you aren't the fastest person on track. You keep your nose clean. You notice this race, Connor Pearson not having the number of incidents that Connor was in the last race. And this is going to lead to a great finish for Connor. So right up there in 4th spot, Matthew Levine in 5th, having another great run, up 4 spots from 9th where Levine started, and really SMS Racing now with 3rd and 5th, and looking pretty good for SMS in the points to see how that one shakes out. I'm just trying to go back through my notes here. I was wondering why I didn't have team information for O'Connor, and I believe that Eric O'Connor has not yet been signed to a team. So that might make some eyebrows go up at the end of this one. We'll have to double check on that, but I don't see it in the official team drivers listing. But you know, that might be a driver that if you're a team and you're looking for somebody good to add to your stable, I would love to know what special things O'Connor is doing out there. But apologies if we don't have the team information right. We're taking it directly from the PMRL source. But O'Connor, team or not that they can give O'Connor a setup that will make it better or anything, but they can share information, and that's always one of the great positives of being with a team, is you can share information back and forth. Yes, you know, go to this ARB setting on the front or the back. It really makes a big difference. Or, you know, try this brake bias, or you can make all of those types of suggestions and keep each other in the know. But if O'Connor is running truly alone as an independent, this just really shows you that you don't need that team to back you up if you're fast and you can sort these cars out by yourself. If you've got the talent, you're seeing it done right here live on VirtualRacing.Network. It's Eric O'Connor setting pole position by a quite large distance and just dominating this field. And when we say dominating, I mean, it's, you know, you've got Andreas Eick just behind with a 5,160 I rating. Again, Andreas is out there racing all the time, and so Andreas absolutely no slouch. Will Lyon has been iRacing for quite a while. There you see twice the iRacing Endurance LMS champion in LMP1. I mean, that's just a ridiculously good accomplishment by Will Lyon. So, you know, these drivers are champions, many of them at the top of this order. And so, again, I'm sure Eric has done some awesome stuff. We'll do some more research and talk with Eric, hopefully after the race. But Eric just lighting up this field and getting it done with that IR18. As I mentioned, this is exactly the type of track where that can happen. And the car just seems to want to settle right into that groove. As soon as it wants to settle into that groove and you find that groove, it's easy to just wake up on the final lap, like Eric O'Connor is, and just go, okay, well, guess I pulled it out. Let's just finish this one up here. 9.8 seconds, almost 10 seconds over Andreas Eick. 13 seconds over Will Lyon. O'Connor having a magnificent day, trying to put the name in the record books. Andreas Eick also having a great day for Team Talent, running in second, having gained a spot on the start from Alex Salmon, who really suffered today. Will Lyon currently running in that third spot. That means we'll probably get a chance to do at least one podium interview today. So go back over and take a look at Eric O'Connor, who's coming around to finish this lap up. Doesn't look like we have notes here that Soranzo and Mills also going off track, also perhaps Miller going off track, but here goes Eric O'Connor by start finish. When last time you saw the checkered flag wave, Eric O'Connor, your winner here of round 7 at Mid-Ohio for the Prime Meridian Racing League. And Andreas Eick bringing it home in second place. Will Lyon a third place. I'm sure Will be very happy with, up 2 spots on the day. And Connor Pearson now, as I mentioned, going to bring it home in 4th, and that's for Wyvern Racing and O'Connor Moore. Of course, the name would be misspelled on the on the team name. We'll try and fix that for next broadcast. Always something going wrong when things are manually getting inputted. But Matthew Levine for SMS Racing also bringing home in 5th. So that's 2 drivers up for SMS in the top 5. Fantastic day for them. We look at Eric O'Connor continuing to circulate around. So what an astounding race this was from beginning to end. as Eric continues to make that way around the track. And woo, that was one heck of a race. A lot of strategy. To be honest, it did get spread out a bit, and but Ike almost pulled off a miraculous one with strategy alone, hitting under the yellow and being able to take the lead of the race through pit stop exchange, trying to hold it off, but it was Eric O'Connor who just had too much speed today, able to come through and take the win. Take a look here at your final results up on the screen. It's Eric O'Connor shown as a privateer, and that is shocking news because, as you can see, this field totally stacked with teams, and Andreas Ike finishing second for Team Talent, third Will Lyon, fourth Connor Pearson, fifth Matthew Levine, sixth Michael Grossberger, seventh Mark Johnston, eighth David Glass, ninth Taylor Mills, and 10th David Soranzo. Tim Miller unfortunately didn't get that top 10 for Big Red, but real close. As close as you can get. And of course, Tim probably be able to get it up there in the top 10. Yes, the sad face by Big Red there in the YouTube chat. Thanks everybody for joining us over there as the cars come into the pits, and you can see the rest of the running order there. We're going to take a look and see as some of the drivers will be stumbling into the broadcast room, as I am stumbling into the broadcast room as well, making sure that everyone can hear me. So we're just taking a look at who has shown up, and I guess that we do in fact have Will Lyon with us here in the booth. Hey Will, can you hear me?
Hi Trevor, how you doing?
I'm doing just fabulous, Will. Boy, this is you took a race off. Last time we talked to you, it was after the race, and you were the winner. And then you come back here and you get a podium position. Must feel pretty darn good to get that machine up into third.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was gutted to miss Pocono. I was intending to race it, but something came up, so I couldn't join last week. But yeah, this is my first ever race that I've done at Mid Ohio, and yeah, just hanging on for dear life. A bit like Detroit, to be honest. Just yeah, the alternates on that first stint were just horrendous. The rear end was just wanting to snap all the time. So it calmed itself down, and yeah, so another good haul of solid points for the championship for sure.
So the car was a bit of a handful. It was actually cool temperatures out there today, so possibly the setup not really handling the full length of the stint, still keeping you on your toes. Yeah, but still getting third place, your first race here at Mid-Ohio. And of course, SMS Racing right up there towards the top of the points, getting two cars into the top 5 here. I think that's going to move SMS Racing back into the top position.
Yeah, it should get us close anyway, because I think Taylor Mills Racing had a 9th and somewhere a little bit lower than that as well. So yeah, it's certainly going to help. And yeah, I mean, as you say, the temperatures were really low, so it was surprising how much the rear was struggling for me. But I'd maybe just overheated them slightly earlier in the stint, trying to somehow keep up with Andreas and Eric, which is it's a bit of a task. So I'm just happy I didn't get lapped, to be honest, by Eric, because he's on another planet, isn't he? So yeah, it was good fun anyway. Great racing again. Even though there wasn't much side-to-side stuff for me today, it was just pushing as hard as I could without spinning.
Sometimes that's kind of what you want, though, right? Like I just want to be able to focus on my race and keep it clean and manage these tires without having cars surrounding me like bees trying to take the position from me, and just kind of cruise home to that podium position in third. Still a great finish for you, finishing here on the podium, and of course increasing the lead there. And with Alex Salmon actually having a poor finish today, dropping out after qualifying second, dropping all the way back there to 12th, you're going to be able to jump back up there in the points. That Pocono race you sat out kind of hurt, but this will bring you back up in the points. So again, that's got to feel pretty good. Just things kind of pointing in the right direction for you as we head into the back half of this schedule here, Will.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I feel a bit for Alex. It sounds like he had some sort of technical issue at the end there, because he did have quite a good recovery. It sounds like he had a couple of incidents earlier on, and then his wheel seems to have turned off or something, which, you can't really legislate for that. If that happens, there's nothing you can do. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. My aim normally is just to try and be around the top 5 and keep it on the road. And today was a little bit strange, just with the safety car. The two safety cars was it really threw up the strategy. I was going to go on primaries at the end for a fairly long stint, but ended up just taking a really short one in the middle, getting them out of the way, and then back on the alternates again for the rest of the race, which felt like a bit of a bad call actually in the end, because the grip on the primary seemed to be really good for once for me. So
interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting strategy calls today, I think.
And you really don't know ahead of time how that's going to work out. You don't know exactly what the temp is going to be or something like that, but very interesting, the black tires hooking up better for you around this circuit than the red tires, especially considering the temperature was pretty low today. I mean, it's early in the morning sim time, so but you just adapt to it, right? Like you said, did you make adjustments in the car to get the tires back under? Do you make adjustments that way, or do you do it all with your right foot?
Yeah, I think most of it's probably the right foot, isn't it? But I was adjusting the roll bars a little bit, particularly on the alternates in that first stint. I don't know what I did to them. I don't know why I was struggling so much. But yeah, with the primaries, I mean, obviously they're slower, but I just had so much more confidence coming over the crests and compared to the alternates. So I was able to push more, even though I'm still was going slower than the alternates. But it just felt a lot more comfortable, I have to admit.
Well, there you go. A third place finish for Will Lyon today, and the points will shake up once again. Certainly, Alex Salmon most likely going to be dropping, or it will be such a close race heading into our next race that we should have quite a battle there looking at the points. So, any thoughts as we go forward? We've got Silverstone coming up, Auto Club, and of course the final round at Interlagos.
Yeah, I imagine Alex will be really good at Silverstone. I know him from our LMP1 days, and he was always rapid around there. So I would expect him to be right at the top. Yeah, as you say, there's probably a lot more twists and turns to come in the championship. And the Auto Club is, again, the ovals I feel like are a bit of a lottery for us guys that don't do them very often, and it's all about just trying to keep on the lead lap probably and see where we end up. But yeah, looking forward to it, and hopefully it'll be a close one.
An Auto Club will definitely be a bit of a lottery, as everybody can't really run away from anybody else. So really the championship rounds are going to be the next race and the final race where you can actually do something about it. We look forward to seeing you next time out there, Will. As you said, Silverstone should be an awesome race for yourself as well as Alex. I'd love to see that showdown on the track. Congratulations on your third place. We'll talk to you next time, Will.
Brilliant. Cheers, Trevor.
Thank you so much for joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network. And so, of course, then that does give us the chance. I do not believe that we will have Andreas Ike joining us. Andreas doesn't usually like to do the afterwards interviews. Maybe someday we'll be able to get Andreas to do one with us. But we do have our race winner with us. And can you hear me here in the booth, Eric?
Yeah, I got a copy, Trevor.
Eric, so now I was just looking through the points, and sometimes I miss things. I don't see that you are in the points. You've competed here in the series, right?
No, this is the first race for me.
So this, and it's not like anybody said, "Hey, Trevor, by the way, we've got Eric O'Connor joining us, and he's lightning fast, and you should watch out for him." I had no idea where you came from, and you just dropped in a time that was like half a second faster in qualifying than the 2021 world record here at Mid-Ohio. Were you aware that you were about a half a second under the 2021 world record in your qualifying run?
No, I was not. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. It's funny you say that because towards that actual fastest lap that I ended up getting, I lost about 2/10 in the last corner. Like,
that's amazing.
I got on the curb just a little bit. It just broke traction just a little bit. And I was kicking myself because I thought Andreas or maybe Alex were gonna throw down something quicker, and I was like, "Oh, come on!" But it all held in there. And I mean, hey, you can nitpick it, but if you're on pole, you're on pole. It's hard to complain about that.
Well, I don't know. Again, I haven't done any of the research on you, so I don't know where you came from. Perhaps first, let me just start officially by saying, I was blown away that you just dropped in and set that qual lap and you won. But congratulations on your win here in Mid-Ohio. What an astounding thing to do. Of course, over Andreas Ike and Will Lyon, a number of talented drivers here in the field. And an absolutely dominant performance. And again, starting with that qualifying, you were dominant in qualifying throughout the whole session. You were faster from the very first hot lap that you did. And again, if this were official, you would have gotten the 2021 world record, converting that into speed in the race. And only during that shuffle up with the cautions and Andreas Ike able to take the lead during that caution. Did you have a different strategy coming into that? Did you think, I'm going to run the black tires at a certain point, I'm going to run the red tires at a certain point, and did the cautions screw that up for you? Or how did that all play out for you?
Yeah, so my plan coming in was to do 2 full stints on the reds and then a short stint on the blacks at the end. I wouldn't say I felt uncomfortable on the blacks, but I definitely got more out of the reds. They just, for me, were quicker enough that the goal was to optimize that and be on them as much as you can. And then we got that first caution. I was like, okay, well, no brainer, stay out up here, up front. No point in coming in and throwing away the track position. You're not going to be able to make it to the end by saving a stop at this stage. Mm-hmm. And then we get the second caution, and then I'm like, oh boy. Now there's a decision to make, and I was like, well, I had a feeling Andreas was going to pit there. We're leading up to it, and I'm just like, I've made my decision. I'm staying out because I want the clean air, because I know my pace, and I know that if I have the clean air, I can set the pace, and the only person that's going to be able to slow me down is myself if I execute. So that was the thought of then, okay, as soon as I saw Andreas pit, then I was like, okay, I gotta go hard here, and I gotta stretch this thing out as much as I can and really try to, make it to where I can afford that extra stop and it's not going to be a problem. And yeah, I really, really went for it, attacked in the second. Well, it wasn't even really the second half. It was the majority of that opening stint, since the opening 10 laps are pretty much all yellow. So the remaining of that stint, I really went hard and was really happy with the pace. I was really impressed with Lyon keeping up as good as he was. I didn't think he had that pace on the reds, and I was really impressed with him. It was cool to see him doing good like that and kind of hanging in there. So that was fun to see. But obviously for me and my own personal, trying to win, it was like, oh boy, gotta be on it here. Can't afford a little off track to give up a few seconds. Not that I really could with Andreas either. So it may have seemed like I was in another league today, but I was definitely feeling the pressure from those guys. One little off track or spin, and this would have been a whole different deal.
And I try to highlight that definitely during the race. For those of you, I do drive the IndyCar as well in a number of races, and it's so on edge. People don't really get it. Yes, it's great when it wants to sit down into that groove and be nice and calm and respond the way that you want it to, but it's so easy to get the throttle application wrong, get your turn in just a little bit wrong. Any of those things goes wrong, and you could be looping it, you could be going off track, and that could be the end of your race. We saw a number of drivers, very skilled drivers, having an off. And for example, here's another thing, cold tires going into turn 1. We saw several very skilled drivers just not able to give it enough room going into turn one, going off track, and of course that costing them positions, actually crashing one of them into the wall. So you've got to keep all of these things on your mind, as well as that strategy, and not let those nerves get to you when you've got somebody like Andreas Eick who's breathing down your back. But still, Eric, I did a little bit of research here. You came in 27th in the Indy 500, I guess this last year. So you're no slouch to these IR18s. You seem to know what you're doing. Been around for 5 years on the service and from Indiana. But you show up here and you did look like you were kind of in your own race. You were fast every time. I was trying to look at the difference in lap times between you and the others. You always had a half a second. So my biggest question is, are you going to be coming back for the rest of the season? Can we look forward to seeing some more challenges by Eric O'Connor, the independent who's not with the team? Is that right?
Well, I am with OCM Racing. I don't know if, I'm guessing it probably didn't come through quite yet. It was kind of a last minute sign up and getting things set up here. So I am with OCM Racing. It's my own team that I run with a buddy of mine. It's just kind of a fun thing. It's nothing too serious. We have a couple companies that are buddies of mine on the car, but it's nothing too official. It's just a bunch of fun ultimately. But yeah, the plan is definitely to run some more races, and I can't say for certain if I'll be able to make every race going forward. I'm hoping to, but you know, I definitely want to try and finish out this season and run it and hopefully race next season, but my schedule's always kind of changing, so that's part of why I haven't been racing till now. But I saw the opening and the opportunity to get in here from Mid-Ohio, and I mean, I love this track, so it was hard to turn it down.
It's one of those tracks, it's easy to connect with when you got it locked in and it feels good. It's one of those ones you just want to keep coming back to over and over again. I totally get that. Well, we've got Silverstone next week. That one, you think do you enjoy Silverstone, and are you looking forward to that one?
I haven't driven it in the IndyCar very much, if at all, but I've driven it in the McLaren F1 car and the IR01 a decent bit, and it's a track I'm pretty familiar with, so I think I'll have a good time with it. But I'm expecting the tire situation to be pretty interesting there, just knowing the way the track is and how the tire model is with this car. I think a lot of people struggled here. I think next week's going to be even more of a struggle with the mix of fast and slow.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. The race winner, Eric O'Connor, saying despite the troubles here at Mid-Ohio, which we saw many championship drivers having problems, perhaps more next week. So stay tuned as it gets even more difficult for these amazing IndyCar driver challengers here on iRacing. And absolutely congratulations to you, Eric. What an amazing day. Feel free to take the rest of the day off and celebrate it however you'd like. Well, I don't know if you're old enough to drink champagne. Are you old enough to drink champagne, Eric?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you never know with this field. Some real youngsters here. Well, I hope you enjoy the beverage of your choice as a celebration, and we'll look forward to seeing you not only next week, hopefully at Silverstone, but the rest of the season. Best wishes for the rest of the season, and many more good lucks to come there, Eric.
Thank you, Trevor.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have you on board with us, and I hope you all enjoyed it quite extensively. It was a blast to watch from my standpoint right here on VirtualRacing.Network. It was Eric O'Connor and Andreas Eick and Will Lyon in the end on the podium, but it was Eric O'Connor's day from the very beginning, setting a world record level pace in qualifying and never falling off from that through the rest of the race. A slight bit of adversity he had to face, but ultimately coming out on top by a clear margin. Andreas Eick finishing second, as I mentioned, Will Lyon third, Connor Pearson fourth, and Matthew Levine, your top five from Mid-Ohio. So my name, Trevor Greenfield, and you've been watching VirtualRacing.Network. I hope you've enjoyed it. This was round 7 from Mid-Ohio for the Prime Meridian Racing League. And we'll look forward to having you joining us next week at Silverstone. Until then, from myself and everyone here at PMRL and VirtualRacing.Network, bye-bye, everybody.